In cardiac arrest, the must-know medications are going to include epinephrine, calcium chloride, sodium bicarbonate, amiodarone. They're also going to include lidocaine and even magnesium sulfate. So let's start off with epinephrine before we go on to the H's and T's and other things. So epinephrine is going to be used in cardiac arrest for asystole, pulseless electrical activity, otherwise known as PEA, ventricular fibrillation or VFib, and pulseless ventricular tachycardia. Epinephrine is a vasoconstrictor and inotropic agent. It improves coronary and cerebral perfusion during the arrest, increasing the likelihood of achieving ROSC, return of spontaneous circulation. The common adult dose that you can expect ordered by the providers is 1 milligram IVIO every 3 to 5 minutes during the cardiac arrest. That's why beforehand you want to talk to the providers, hey, how often do you want to do epinephrine? So they can typically say, hey, let's give it every 3 minutes or every 5 minutes, but this is why you ask beforehand. Calcium chloride plays a vital role in myocardial cell stability and cardiac contractility. It's administered during cardiac arrest for specific underlying conditions as well. We know that it's administered for hyperkalemia because high potassium levels can lead to deadly arrhythmias. So we give the calcium to help stabilize the cardiac cell membrane, reducing the risk of those deadly arrhythmias. We also give it for hypocalcemia because we know that low calcium can lead to impaired cardiac function, so we can replace the calcium, and also for calcium channel blocker overdose to help reverse the effects that are occurring. The typical adult dose that you're going to see when ordered is going to be 1 gram IV or IO. Another key medication that you may be seeing ordered by the providers is sodium bicarbonate. If it's ordered, it's to help manage the severe metabolic acidosis that's occurring during the cardiac arrest. We know that metabolic acidosis can impair both cardiac function and cellular metabolism. And by addressing the acidosis, sodium bicarbonate helps improve the likelihood of achieving ROS, again, return of spontaneous circulation. The common adult dose that you're going to see ordered is going to be 50 MEQ IV or IO. Now, we have amiodarone as another key medication that you should know in cardiac arrest. It's a key antiarrhythmic that's typically going to be ordered for ventricular fibrillation, VFib, or pulsus ventricular tachycardia. Amiodarone works by prolonging the action potential and refractory period of cardiac cells. In VFib and pulsus VTAC, the ventricles are going to be irritable and firing chaotically. By extending the refractory period, amiodarone helps stabilize the myocardium and reduce the excitability that's present. The typical first adult dose that you're going to see is 300 milligrams IVIO, followed by a second dose, if needed, of 150 milligrams IV or IO. If ROSC is achieved, the providers are typically going to order a continuous infusion of amiodarone to help maintain rhythm stability. Another key antiarrhythmic that you should know is lidocaine. Lidocaine is also used for VFib and pulses VTAC. It works by blocking sodium channels in cardiac cells, which slows conduction and helps stabilize the cardiac cell membrane. If it's ordered, the typical dosing you're going to see for the initial dose is going to be 1 to 1.5 milligrams per kilogram IVIO. If a repeat dose is needed, the providers may order 0.5 to 0.75 milligrams per kilogram IVIO. One of the last key medications that you should know in cardiac arrest is going to be magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate is used during cardiac arrest to help manage torsades, which is, as you know, a polymorphic ventricular tachycardia. You know that magnesium supports proper function of ion channels in cardiac cell membranes. When magnesium is low or imbalanced, it can lead to torsades, a specific form of that ventricular tachycardia, which is why the providers are going to order magnesium sulfate. The common adult dose you're going to see is 2 grams IVIO. And if it works, a magnesium infusion may be ordered by the providers to help maintain the rhythm stability. Other key things that you should know when it comes to cardiac arrest are the H's and T's, right? The reversible causes of cardiac arrest. The H stands for hypovolemia. If so, we're thinking intravenous fluid. Hypoxia, if so, we're thinking giving oxygen. Hydrogen ions, in other words, acidosis, the providers may order sodium bicarbonate. Hyperkalemia, like we discussed, is going to be calcium chloride and sodium bicarbonate. If it's hypothermia, we're going to warm the patient. For the T's, tension pneumothorax, you can anticipate the providers doing needle decompression or chest tube placement. For a cardiac tamponade, the indicated procedure is pericardiocentesis. For toxins, we have sodium bicarbonate, calcium chloride, and the indicated antidotes. For thrombosis, whether coronary thrombosis or pulmonary thrombosis, we have thrombolytics that can be administered. And trauma, of course, control the bleeding, blood products, and the surgical interventions. These are some of the key reversible causes that you should keep in mind as the ER nurse. And when they're happening, you can anticipate the providers ordering them. Now, when it comes to the actual arrest itself, let's go over what you should expect, right? So before the patient arrives, you're gonna have the crash cart readily available with the defibrillation pads ready to be applied. You're gonna have suction set up, the bag valve mask ready to go. You're gonna have the glucometer readily available to help rule out hypoglycemia as the cause. We're gonna prepare fluids, typically normal saline, and we're gonna have all the supplies ready to connect the patient onto the cardiac monitor, as well as IV supplies, the IO gun if necessary, and we're gonna have the ultrasound and ECG machine readily available. With the ultrasound, the providers are going to look for that pericardial centesis, for all of those things. And the ECG, if we get ROS, we must get ECG immediately, right, to look for things like a STEMI. Now, when you get notified that a full arrest is coming to your room, you have to notify all the essential people, your ER provider, respiratory therapy, even registration, other technicians, and fellow nurses that are going to help with the arrest coming in. You're going to assign roles clearly because that's going to be the most important part to helping ensure that the code runs smoothly. Who's going to be on the crash cart and the defibrillator? Who's placing the IV and IO and giving the medications prepared by the person on the crash cart? Who's on CPR? Who's getting the patient on the monitor and the pads? Who's on airway management? Typically, it's the RT with the provider, but just make sure that everyone has their role. Who's checking the sugar for you? And of course, you're going to be the one that's keeping times if the staffing allows. So make sure you're keeping tabs of the medications, the compressions, the rhythm and pulse checks. And like we discussed, you're going to ask the provider early on, how often do we want to give epinephrine and how often do we want to do the pulse rhythm checks?